everyone. Welcome back to another Waifu Watch podcast. And oh boy, is this week going to be a topic because it's the one that we've all been waiting for. It is dubs versus subs. And I'm sure we all have a lot to say about that. We don't know where Mana is. We tried to call her and she didn't answer. So she might pop in.
Yeah, she might pop in.
Later, we don't know. But, you know, it is what it is. So dubs versus subs. I think we're just going to talk about our opinions. I have a couple kind of like guiding some little interesting questions, but otherwise I'm just going to let everybody go off on on their opinions. So whoever wants to start, please go for it. Take the reins.
Me. I'm always the first one to
go for it.
I will definitely say that there are some animes that you can watch in dub because like they translate it very well. So you get the same meanings, you get the same concept, you almost get the same exact sentence structure. Whereas some animes, it just cringes my soul to try and watch them in dub. Like, it's horrible. Like, no, that's not a jelly donut. Damn rice ball. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's the classic, yep.
Yes, but I would just start off just recommending, like, okay, I'm team subs all the way. But I will say Death Note does a really good job of subs going to dubs. They do a great job with that. And I will say that I'm trying to give someone some credit. I'm honestly am. I'm trying. It'll come back to me later, but you cannot watch. I cannot watch for the dub team. I have to watch Inuyasha in dub. Like the voices, I'm gonna give it to Mana because Mana does say Inuyasha voice is annoying and yeah, with the subs, and it is. So Inuyasha watching dub always. You cannot watch Dragon Ball Z in dub. I know y'all are going to kill me. I don't care. Honestly, if you don't like what I said, I'm not going to give you the middle finger, but just know I want to. Because the storyline is so much better in sub. Like, once again, it's the translation. Kakarot sounds just, hi, you guys. I'm so stupid. Hi. Like, versus in sub where you're like, oh, like he's gangster. Like, you would have so much better respect for Kakarot. I'm Team Vegeta, by the way. That's why I call him Kakarot. I just wanted to bring that out. But where I feel like the main issue is just translation. That's how I feel like that's my problem with dubs. Dub is too controversial for me. So subs is like, that's the original storyline, and that's why I like going.
All fair points. Annie, Shelby, who wants to go next?
If I may, I have an idea. Could we find and watch like a short clip of something subbed and then the identical scene in dub, and then we can like watch it and then like discuss like.
Yeah, well, so actually I was kind of thinking not quite along that same line, but that's a really good idea. But one of the most like notoriously bad dubs is the OG Devilman Crybaby. And because it's real bad. Like there's so many like compilations. Yeah, I wanted to show you because some of the dubs are in Devilman Crybaby, like the original one, are just really funny. But I can see if I can find like
Thank you, Danny. I'm telling you, it's Dragon Ball Z got hella. They just terrible. It's just all terrible.
Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, I think this should work, and this is right up my alley, and because I have a lot of hate for this dub.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, I found one, so we're all good. Okay, so so if I just hit share screen, then you'll see what
then
I'm
it'll
saying.
come up with the options, yeah.
Okay.
Stop fighting. And I got a Lunchable.
Yummy.
Nice.
I eat those all the time at work during lunch.
It's
I go
basically, it was the OG charcuterie board. Like,
Who doesn't need to share her Lunchable? You had a whole Lunchable to yourself. Riley got out of the playpen. How did Riley escape the playpen? Riley, no, this is what we know.
I can't hear it.
couldn't you hear it last week?
No.
Annie, what did you do? Oh yeah, you couldn't hear it.
Okay, so I'll introduce it really quick. But okay, so again, as you all know, I love Haikyu, but I will go ahead and say on the record, I think the dub is absolutely garbage, and it's one of the worst dubs I've ever heard in my entire life. And that's not just because I love this so much, but it was just a massive disservice to it. And so we found this where it's 1 minute of the sub versus 1 minute of the dub. And so you'll just see how bad it is.
All right, here we go.
Ready.
Alright! It was a fluke.
Oh, it's so much hate.
That made me mad.
Okay, Annie, you can watch it now.
I'm sorry, but like the dub. You just call him dude? That's so funny.
Yes, because they thought that was an appropriate choice.
Oh my gosh. That
Mana
was
texted me back.
What'd she
I
say?
like the first example that was like, did you see my shot? Did you see it? It was freaking awesome. Like that just freaking awesome line.
All right. So now that we've seen, I know that's pretty extreme example, but
that was perfect. A side by side. That was perfect.
There was a lot of hate in my heart for that, just because. Like,
since it's your favorite, you hold it in high regard, so I get that.
Yeah, and it's like when we all found out they were doing a dub, we were kind of like cautiously optimistic because we're like, oh, maybe like it's a shonen, like maybe they'll like do it. No, it was. There's a couple people that are okay, but Suki, the one with blonde hair, just sounds like a robot. Like, no, I've had enough. Thank you. And it's like. That's okay. That's a choice. And one of the other characters who was in there for a brief second, like sounds like a 40-year-old man who's been chain smoking for 20 years. And it's like, why was this the choice you made? Because, and I guess that's like my confusion with bad dubs is I'm like, you have the source material of how it's supposed to be right here. Like, I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, Annie, tell me your thoughts on subs versus dubs, because we kind of half interrupted each other, but
it can be done right, but the number of times that it's done wrong far outweigh those times that it's done right. I mean, like all the Studio Ghibli dubs. A+, like nice job. Even Cowboy Bebop, like some of the early Toonami, we bringing up Toonami again. But the early Toonami stuff is pretty decent. Like even Inuyasha and stuff is all right for the dub. But oh hey, it's Mana.
A wild Mana appeared. I don't know if we can hear you though.
What?
Oh, there we go. Okay. You're good.
Yeah, you're good.
We're talking about dubs versus subs.
Yeah.
I was like almost mid. Never mind.
Yeah, what's up with your name?
Yeah, are you on someone else's computer?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
That's what I thought. You have a different background.
Yeah.
Funny.
All right. Shelby or Mana?
Yeah.
Subs or dubs? Who wants to go?
What question is that? I'm sorry. What's my name again? Oh, Mana? Right. Sub.
We're just giving our general thoughts and opinions.
I like subs better. Yeah. For know. Am I allowed to say more, or are we waiting for more?
Oh no, you can.
Oh,
I have very few questions. I just want to let everyone talk.
So, I really do prefer subs because it's just there's a lot that goes into subs and dubs, and also American cartooning style kind of plays into it. And if I want to hear American cartooning style, I'll go watch American cartoons. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Something different, you know. It's like that's just not something here every day, and it's just like a different animation element to it that American cartoons you cannot achieve, and so that's why I'm just.
Why are you so athletic? How can you get out the playpen?
That was me as a child.
Cartwheeling over the baby dad, cartwheeling over the fucking baby.
This podcast already has such chaos energy to it. Just from rapidly trying to find a video to children to Mana popping in. It's like there's so much chaos energy.
Waifu watch.
Yeah, that's our brand.
Honestly, though, is anything more us in this podcast?
Than this, yeah, for real. All right, Shelby, I know you don't have a ton of experience with sub and dubs, but
as a person that watches a lot of film, I've also watched a lot of foreign films. And with that, I would say my opinion is that I want to watch it in sub. Maybe for like a pretentious reasoning is that I want to watch it how it's meant to be watched, like how it was originally made. And I think it's the same with anime too. I want to see how the actors, why they were chosen to be the voice actor and how they're saying it and everything. So I'd rather watch how it was originally made and have the subtitles up there and read along with it and just experience it that way. And also I have the subtitles on for English shows too, because I can't hear at all. So
I do that too.
It's not that much of a change for me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I watch a lot of TV and movies with the subtitles on.
Yeah.
Same. Anything that's very like plot heavy, because like the entirety of Game of Thrones I watch subtitled because I'm like I need to know what's happening. Like
I mean, sometimes like they're so quiet when they're talking, which I get because it's part of the story and it's supposed to be like that. But like I still need to know what's happening, so it's like I need to be able to know what they're saying.
Oh, and not to mention like the mouths, like especially when you're watching film and it's dubbed, the mouths don't match still.
Exactly. That's another reason too, because that makes me go like, oh my god, something's wrong with it.
Yeah, right.
Just have the original voices and everything. So in college I did ADR for a film that I was in. So kind of
so odd.
Yeah. Yeah, very true, because the sound isn't always perfect on film sets, so you have to. But oh my gosh, it was such a bitch trying to get my words to match up to the film. I'll tell you, that is so hard. That's another skill in itself. Like, oh my god.
Well, I will say I'm very firmly team subtitle.
Even
not surprisingly.
Like even a few animes?
Well, okay, so yeah, there are exceptions to the rule. I will say, and I feel like it honestly is a lot of like the Toonami era. I think purely for nostalgia of like that's how you first watched it. Like I watched Sailor Moon dubbed, obviously. And so it's like, you know, that's how I first saw it. And so it's like, that's how it's supposed to be, you know, even though it's clearly not. And it's like, you get used to certain voices. And so then switching, regardless of whether you watched it sub first and then switch to dub or vice versa, it's like, you have that voice in your head. And then when you go to something else, it's like, no, like, that's not right, you know, or if it's not close at all, like that's really jarring. But I agree with Shelby. Like, I like to, as pretentious as we were talking, it's like, you know, how it was originally intended to be watched. And because I'm like, this is how people in Japan are watching it. And so this is how I'm going to watch it, because that's the closest to the source material we're going to get. What? Mom, what?
I was like, it's the right way.
Yes. That's how I feel. But one of my questions is a good dub better than a bad sub?
Ooh, that's hard. Because I've had bad subs before where I'm listening to the Japanese and I'm like, that ain't what they said.
I think a good.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
If I had to choose, I'm gonna go with the good dub because that just means the good dub was able to translate properly and was able to get the point across. So I just want good translation at the end of the day. Like communicate with me, please. So I'm definitely going with a good dub over a bad sub.
But question: good translation or good voice acting? If you had to choose.
Ooh. See, I like
that. Danielle, this is totally your part. I'm literally.
No, that's a good question though.
Ooh,
well, we can circle back to that.
Yeah, because honestly, that's another reason why I like subs, because you still get that action when they grunt and when they're like hitting stuff. Like I love those voice acting cues versus in dub where it's like, like that doesn't sound believable to me. Like, no, the sub sounds so much more believable because of like what Shelby said. They took their time and got a cast together and they chose this voice actor for that reason. But yeah, I'm good. I already answered your question. I'm gonna circle back once everybody. Yeah. That was a good question. I'm thinking.
It is. Next.
I mean, whatever one gets the original story across the best, I would say. So if like it's a bad sub and it's not telling me exactly what's happening and I'm not getting the correct story that was meant to be made, then it's just like I'm not watching it at all. So if the dub isn't better than the sub, then I think I would watch the sub. Dub, yeah.
Annie, Mana.
I mean, just bad subs are so irritating just because I have taken like Japanese language courses and stuff, and like it, oh god.
Especially when they're fan subs.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That could be a podcast itself. Like,
what are fan subs?
It's like when people will like rip the original like anime like really fast without any subtitles on it, and they go in and translate it themselves. And so it's like people put a lot of like unnecessary things. Like ProZD did a really famous like Vine for it, where it's like the actual sub versus like fan subs, and how fan subs are like, "Are you effing kidding me?" And like they put all this like extra stuff in there.
That's ask the same thing, Danny.
Yeah, like
parentheses, winky face, like
like all kinds of stuff in it that it's not there, but
they took creative liberties.
Yes. When you were watching your anime through some torrent Spanish website with the subtitles changed through 5 different languages back to English, like those were dark times.
It's so easy to obtain, and now it's way harder.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we can just do like the next time we record on Monday, we can just do a little like bonus thing.
Yeah, word just in from our secret source that you guys can't hear.
Yes, we will do that when we record. We're gonna record again in a couple days, and so we'll dub something then. So you'll just have to stay tuned. But yeah. So Mana, did you answer bad sub versus good dub or whatever question I asked? It was, is a good dub better than a bad sub?
Well, dub better than a bad sub. I'd have to say, I think a bad dub is better than, I think a good, what is it? I'm getting it mixed up.
A good dub better than a bad sub or not?
I think definitely not a good dub. I think even if it's like, because it's originally in Japanese, if you don't go look at the dub, then you don't really know it's bad. You're just going by what you see. So I feel like it's still inherently better because you don't have that basis line to like compare it to.
That's fair. Yeah, I've seen some very bad dubs and bad subs, but yeah, I'm kind of leaning toward bad subs over a good dub just because.
How are you gonna know that too bad if you just don't go look at the other side because it's not even necessary?
Yeah, it's like it's like okay. And granted, like it's been when I've watched things, like I've watched something on Crunchyroll and then I've bought the DVD box set and it's like the Funimation translation or whatever, and it's like, or whatever it is, and it's super different. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. And so partially because I probably know what story is and so like what's supposed to be happening. But yeah, it's like you almost kind of have to have those layers of like, you at least know the original source or like something to be able to like make an opinion, because if you're just presented something, like if we had to start watching Code Geass and dub, like we probably would have been like, oh, okay, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But I still have pieces of time where I'm like, maybe we should watch just one episode.
I think about that too, because
I have to think
that
see how much is different.
Yeah,
it's a topic we're working on.
It's a lot, but Mana, what was the question that you asked that we were going to circle back to? Good voice acting,
good voice acting, or bad? Was it bad subtitling? I think
it was like translation or something.
Yeah, good voice acting or like good translation. Like
right.
What would you rather have more?
When you're watching a show,
good translation or bad voice acting, I think.
I'm sorry, it would be so hard to ignore bad voice acting.
Yeah. I think I'd have to pick good voice acting, because even if the subs aren't perfect, I think you can figure out what's going on enough because the voice acting is so good. Yeah. So I would have to say good VA.
I agree on that. It's just so very much like out of all the senses you're using to like absorb anime, like the hearing is what is the main one. And so to have that be so off, it literally would distract me from everything. And I just couldn't do it, which is why I can't be like talking like the voice acting of the Japanese Goku, because that's all I can focus on. And I can't even pay attention to the good subs because I'm hearing this tiny squeaky mouse in my ears. And it's a thing.
No.
Jaqueline, do you have a rebuttal?
You know what? While you were gone, Mana, I actually gave you your props. I said I cannot watch sub Inuyasha. The voices irritate me. Like
the sub for Inuyasha is irritating too.
Yeah, but no, I do not. I think you once again get so much more structure in the sub of Dragon Ball Z. They just sound so boss versus him sounding like a lovable oaf. Like his voice might be very high pitched, but he's talking like he got some bass in his voice though. Like the subs letting you know he gangster. You know, I don't believe him when he goes, "Oh, you guys, oh." I don't.
We'll let our battle in the future decide that.
That's fine. We sure will.
Yeah. So another question. What is the best and worst dub that you've seen?
Oh, see, I don't
have a lot of dub experience.
I don't know, because like I've never seen a bad sub. Let me just get that out there. So I have no idea what that even looks like. Like all I've seen are bad dubs. So I have to think.
A good dub.
By bad dub, are we including the sub and the voice acting together in one package?
No. No, just good. You're the best dub you've seen and the worst dub you've seen.
Okay, movies too, like just
anything in the anime world.
But see, I watch both. I will actually watch. Like I've watched Berserk dubbed on like that Netflix special, and it was terrible because when you go back and watch the sub, like the old school 1980s film, like that dub's awesome. It goes word for word, but that Netflix shit was terrible. But I watched both. And that's where I was like, I don't really like Goku in dub. Like, I don't believe him at all. But the sub versions, I love that. I watch both. I watch both. I don't speak Japanese now. Okay. So what I'm hearing is we just need to go Japan is what I'm hearing. Like, we just need that.
I would just like to make a small random out of the blue announcement. My sister sent me a picture she drew. She's like 7 and it was a picture of Kakashi and I'm very proud.
Aww. Kakashi Bay, I swear he's
raising him right.
My child.
Oh, my daughter watching Mew Mew Power. Yes, and my mom and I watch Yu Yu Hakusho. and just binged watched it.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
It's a gene you must pass on to your children. Anyone who watches anime has to pass it on. That's just how it is.
Yu Yu Hakusho is actually a pretty good dub. Like their dubs are pretty good because it's still bitch on sub, and I was like, I called her a bitch. Lift for that.
Well, I'll say my the best dub that I've seen, funnily enough, is My Hero Academia, because my baseline for a good dub is I'm able to get through an entire episode without like cringing really hard and just being like, oh, I hate it. And I got through the whole first season. Like I had watched it subbed first, but I was like, okay, like I bought the box set and I wanted to rewatch it, but I was going to be rewatching it while I was running on my treadmill. And I was like, I don't want to have to read subtitles while I'm running. Like that's too much effort. And so I'm like, I'll throw it on dub. And I'm like, oh, like that's serviceable. Like that's good. Yeah. And so I applaud that. And obviously, you know, like Sailor Moon, any of the like OG Toonami ones, Cowboy Bebop, it's like they did a great job. Worst, honestly, is Haikyu is one of the worst ones that I've ever seen. And it makes, you missed us watching a side-by-side of the dub and the sub of 1 minute of Haikyu. And the link's in the chat and you can watch it after the podcast. But it's so bad. And especially because like they did my favorite character dirty, and so I don't think I'll ever forgive them for that.
I'm trying to think of a really just terrible dub.
Yeah, me too. I'm stuck on the terrible dub. Because like once it's terrible, after the first like 5 minutes, I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
So, my dad watches Pokemon.
I definitely think that
Pokemon is a pretty bad dub.
Decent.
Like, I think so like the localization is really bad.
Yeah,
Pokemon.
That's what I've heard is really bad. Like it very much takes out the Japanese culture from it.
Yeah. And I will say Japanese Meowth is very jarring. Like,
is it?
Yeah, it's so different. Because we're used to this Brooklyn, Meowth, you know, and he's like really high pitched, and I'm like, okay.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I have mine.
Go for it.
My favorite dub is Spirited Away.
Oh,
just because Haku's voice is like so nice.
So pretty. So
like sweet. And even like not Zeniba, Yubaba, like the old witch is like her voice is pretty cool.
It's pretty
and the worst dub this is gonna be a little bit because I don't really like it in sub or dub. I prefer the manga, but like if I did watch the anime, I would choose the sub rather than the dub because the dub is like really cringy. And that's Naruto until you get to Shippuden, because once you get into Naruto Shippuden, then the voices change and like they become more mature and they're pretty nice. But like I see you looking at me, Mana. But like the first part of Naruto, like Sasuke's voice is just so like angsty and cringy. I can't. And like I'd rather watch the sub of the first Naruto part. But like even then, Naruto's voice like gets on my nerves in the sub, but in the dub, Sasuke is just I can't. I must avenge my family. I can't.
Kakashi's voice is nice.
Kakashi is chef's kiss.
I want one of those. I'm gonna give me a Kakashi.
No, I saw a dude at Anime Expo cosplaying Kakashi, and I just wanted to be like, please be my husband. Like, oh my god.
I was like that when I saw Sebastian cosplay.
Oh, well, one, he didn't have a shirt on and had like washboard abs, and I was like, hi, like, hello, yes.
Washboard abs. What are those?
Like,
They just
like the rib, like a
six-pack
rib.
Yeah.
That's
what I
watch
you can do this to him. That's how your fingers.
He was freaking ripped. Like
ripped men gross me out. Not like
we are very different people.
Ripped, when you're so ripped, it's like defined and there's shading and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
What's that like? Oh my gosh. But yeah, he was so nice looking, and I was just like, I should have shot my shot, but
I would have said, you can keep the mask on.
Well, and he did. He had the hair, and
oh
boy,
we gonna ride this out for real. We already in cosplay.
No. There's a mask under the mask. He's gonna take off his mask to show you. That's what makes it really nice.
You can leave it. Don't ruin it.
Right.
I did not mean to sidetrack that so badly, but I don't know who he was, but he was a fine specimen of a human.
We'll find him.
Waifu watch. We're proud sidetrack.
But Shelby, did you give your answer on what your preference would be?
Like the preference for,
or the worst and best.
I mean, the only well, I've only seen like 3 animes so far. So, and Pokemon I've only ever seen in dub, like I said. And like you mentioned, the localization of it,
for
which
sure.
I think is pretty crappy. I'd rather have watched it and have it had some of the culture that it had from Japan, because I think that would have been cooler and more attuned to what it was originally supposed to be. So I would say that was a crappy part of watching dub, at least of Pokemon. And I could follow JoJo better than Code Geass, so I'll say that. So I would say the sub is better on JoJo than Code Geass.
Yeah, absolutely.
JoJo has like maybe 1 or 2 storylines, and Code Geass is like 62.
Oh yeah, Code Geass does have a lot too as well, but
I okay.
I feel like we're just
I'm sorry. I don't want to influence your opinions and force you to dislike this show, but
pretty intense. We understand.
I have like a dissenting opinion, if you don't mind, Danielle, that I can say, so I know I'm not cheap. But
also like, okay, and I was a brief aside, like if you're watching a show with somebody and that person doesn't like the show, are you automatically like, oh no, I don't like it? What kind of like brain do you have if you're just like, oh, this person doesn't like it, so I don't like it either? Like, what's that like? I'm sorry, but okay. I'm sorry. It's fine. We're fine. I'm not mad. I just think people are dumb.
Anyways, Code Geass can do a better job in their subs.
Yes, their subs are a lot.
Helping us follow the storyline.
Oh, I'll play dissenting commenter. Then why don't you watch it dubbed? Because we don't want to. Like,
actually, small side comment to that. I would like to add that I understand you want us to watch it dubbed, but I really feel like we're losing a lot of translation in the dub. It's easier to follow along, but I think we're missing a lot of plot pieces. And I get we're talking while we're seeing it, so we are missing some small pieces. But I think we'd miss a lot more if we went to dub.
But also, how fun would it be to watch people just like silently watching a show? Like why are you here? Like
we love all of our viewers and we appreciate all of our opinions and comments, and we take
except for that one guy.
Great. Thank you for supporting.
Danielle's fighting today. I love it.
My.
I'm sorry.
Most of the comments. Most of
I just got really fired up for some reason. Anyway, because this is a controversial topic. But so my last question is, why is this such a point of contention in the anime community? Like this is
quality in the trash. Sorry.
Hey, what happened?
Because this is the debate, right? Like, and I'll give kind of my funny little story that I teased last week. So I was in a GameStop one time and they had a TV going and they had Funimation interviews on it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, anime, good on them. And I had my back to the TV and it was some lady who worked for Funimation talking to Chris Sabat, who's like, we all know is just like, you know, the OG, like Dragon Ball. And, you know, he's All Might on My Hero Academia. He's done a ton of really great voice acting work and he does a really good job on dubs. But she was talking to him and she ended the interview saying, yeah, a lot more people are clamoring for dubs. And I got so mad that I turned around at the TV and I said, no, they aren't at the TV.
It's
like
lazy.
And it's like in the middle of a store. But I got really mad. And so I tweeted that, like, no hashtags, nothing. Just that, like, this is a funny, like, that's how much of a nerd I am that I'm like yelling at a television in a store like an old person and like getting mad about this thing that doesn't actually matter. The girl who was doing the interview for Funimation tweeted at me to like drag me and be like, I'm assuming you're talking about my interview and I just like you to know. And she just like went off on me in like 3 tweets. And I was like,
you should have at me. We could have got her. I would have jumped in for it.
This was like 2 years ago, but I was just like, are you that insecure about your job that like you
gonna tweet you again, Danielle? Keep it up.
She is gonna tweet.
She gonna come
lady
back.
who worked for Funimation, come at me. I don't care anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, that's a challenge. But like, I was just like, yeah, are you that insecure about your job that with no hashtags, you go on Twitter and like search, I don't even know what, to find me and like want to put me on blast?
She had a bad day, Danny. Someone had to catch her.
I know.
She just had a bad day. She was just like, you know what? Everyone's messing with me today.
I'm coming for you.
Like, you know what? You did it.
I just want to ask.
But, and it was so strange. And so I'm wondering, like, why is this such like the debate for the anime community? And want to know your thoughts on it.
I feel like there's like an imprinting factor of dubs and subs, like especially like when you're first introduced to anime, we automatically like cling on to like our first favorite one. We cling on to what basically introduced us to it. So if that's dub for you, like you kind of follow that wavelength, in my opinion, like you start watching more dubs because, you know, that's just the train you're on. Now, if you started off with subs, then you're kind of like going on that train, and the two always intertwine, but they're always still divided in a way, because it's like you just imprint it on one. That's just my stigma on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mana's clamoring to speak.
I want to not challenge that theory, but also look at the other side of it, of even because I know a lot of Americans have hit Toonami is like one of the biggest source of people seeing and figuring out what that is. A lot of Toonami was in dubs, and I find that a lot of people who even started with Toonami don't gear towards dubs, because after figuring out about anime, and not even like everybody, obviously there's like 2 sides to everything, but all the people, the friends that I know, my brothers and my family who have all seen Toonami growing up, we all geared towards subs, because after getting into the anime community and realizing the difference between dubs and subs, we realized this is something that feels more authentic and genuine. I feel like a lot of Americans are used to things that are familiar. And I think a lot of it deals with, they don't want to take the time to put into reading the subs. Now, I understand also dubs are very important for like people who have like disabilities or like, you know, hard time like reading or anything like that. I totally understand that. That's totally, I get it. But for the average American, we do not read nearly as much as the Asian culture does. And I find it to be a source of laziness almost, because we want things that are familiar to us, that cater to us, that are convenient. So I find a lot of people in America, at least, who cater towards dubs. There is still a big category that is towards subs. But I feel like not everybody who starts with just like what you started with is what you end up with. I find a lot of people progress towards that, but then there's also the large group that doesn't and is more comfortable in that zone. But I still see that as almost a source of laziness if you don't have any really like kind of like thing that's stopping you. But everyone has their preference, but that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, I completely, I completely agree, because I have tried to get my brother to watch anime for years, and he's like, I don't want to read subtitles. And I was like, why? Like, why? And he's like, because I want to be doing other stuff while I'm watching a show. And like, to an extent, I understand that. But my thing is that it's like, I don't know, I guess being like an anime nerd, it's like anime is such a wholly engrossing experience for me that I'm like, I don't want to be doing other stuff unless it's a show that I've seen like a bajillion times when I can like, oh, I know this is going to happen next. And it's like, oh, whatever, I can be on my phone. But it's like, I do think that is like, part of it is like our culture is very like, we want to be doing 5 things at once instead of like locking into just this one thing for 20 minutes. And I told him, I was like, well, like, I guess you could, but I'm like, you're not going to like it nearly as much because like the dubs just aren't good. And then he's like, oh, well, I'm just not going to watch it. And I'm like, you are actually killing me right now. Like, but yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, it's such a strange thing though, because it's like, I think everyone is wanting like the original source material. And so it's debating on like, is it the dub or is it the sub? But I still don't understand why people get so like feisty about it if it's like a serviceable dub or a good sub. Like, you know what I mean? Because in the grand scheme of things, like it doesn't really matter, but
relationship.
It's like, I don't know. It's very strange if you think about it outside of the context that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
I apologize for that if I come off aggressive.
No. But it's like, if you go to like an anime convention and if you're like dubs versus subs, it's like you would have a riot on your hands.
Listen, you done broke out 5 times today. I don't know what's going on with you and your siblings, but I'm about to disown y'all. Okay? Y'all about to go live with somebody else. I know I'm not picking you up. 1 second.
No, I'm not picking you up. Resumes to pick you up.
Immediately pick you up.
I think it's such a heated issue because some people think that dubs shouldn't even exist. Like it shouldn't be made and it shouldn't be like an industry that's like growing and that people who aren't in Japan are profiting off of it. So whenever I talk to people and they're like, oh, well, dub shouldn't even be made because sub is like so sacred. And that's the issue, is that we wouldn't even be introduced to anime if it wasn't for dub, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
So yeah,
that's very true because it's like
a lot of people forget that. Mm-hmm. And they just say that, sub is the one and only thing that you can do. And where did you even discover anime? Like,
probably a dubbed Toonami, like,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. That's why it's like it does like certain dubs hold a special place in your heart because it's like that was my barrier of entry. Like that was what got me into it, and that's like you progress past that. But it's like I guess that is a very good point because the stuff on Toonami now is like My Hero Academia and all this like very like Demon Slayer and like different stuff like that. And so it's like I'm sure it's dubbed, and there's people out there watching it right now. Kids on summer who are like, wow, this is so cool, so I understand. Yeah.
So how do we feel about anime that's like being made like on Netflix that doesn't even come in like subs because it's made for
there's like, anime like that?
Yes.
Wasn't the Jaden Smith one? Wasn't that
Neo Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah.
Like there's like Kipo, there's just like little
Kipo does not count though. I don't think it does.
I know, I'm just using that just how like we're trying to like like merge the two, like we'll just have American anime almost. Like it's starting to get there. But yeah, so how do we feel about those? Is that like go ahead, Monica.
I definitely feel like America didn't start producing cartoons that came in a more anime type form until like the recent more like with dubbings coming of subs. I think that demand was created to like give something that's a bit more Americanized, but not too much and too far. And I definitely do agree with what Annie said about how like, I think there is a bit of discrepancy amongst who like, you did come for this, but like once you get so far, it's like, who were you really to like, where did it all come from? And I think that there's a big problem with gatekeeping, honestly, in the anime community. And I'm guilty of it myself sometimes, and I catch myself, and I got to chill out with that. But it is a low barrier form of entry for those who aren't really interested in like putting all that energy forth to subs immediately. And it is a very good growth point for most people. And as much as I don't like the voice acting and the meaning put into it, I can't deny that like Americanized like cartoons that come with an anime style and things like that. I do think that that is a very beneficial thing for the anime community, and it is kind of really like shit on, and it really shouldn't be. Even I do, but
it's right. Kind of like that one friend you always outgrow and say you're not doing anything with your life. It was like, but you were my friend at one point. Damn, we were friends, weren't we? I mean, I've outgrown you though.
She's right.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, kind of on that same point. It's like how many people started watching anime because they saw something like Avatar, you know, where it's like it was like an Americanized, you know, anime-esque show. Which, speaking of, Netflix is going to ruin it again because the creators. They're off now, and so first it was M. Night Shyamalan, and
whoa, what did you just say? What was that acronym just now? What?
No, M. Night Shyamalan, who's a director.
Okay, I'm like, anime?
Yeah, no, I just like it's just I don't know.
I
was just being a goof. But he did the live action Avatar movie that everyone hated, and then
the
Netflix,
one that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that we don't talk about.
I never watched it.
That is for some reason being promoted on Netflix right now that they have it, and I'm like, nobody wants it.
No,
like, take it back.
Nobody wants it.
Inaccurate. I don't know where they.
Right. Well, and so then Netflix said, we're going to do a live action adaptation and bring back the original creators. And everyone was like, thank the good Lord in heaven. And then yesterday, one of the original creators said that they left the project because Netflix basically was like pigeonholing them into doing a show they didn't want to do. And so they left. And so now Netflix is still going to do it without them. And it's going to be bad.
If the creator does not want to do it, what makes you think it's still going to be done?
Yeah. And so everyone was like giving it a hard time and making like fake posters with like actors and actresses superimposed on like who was going to play who. And it was like one of the Sprouse brothers and Scarlett Johansson and like with being like, oh, look, guys, like the poster got released. And but
that's funny.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
about this until just now, and I'm not cool with it.
Yeah. It's not great, Bob, but yeah. Shelby, why do you think someone coming from more of the outside community, why is it such a debate?
I would say it's like almost a territorial kind of thing. Like if you're not watching this a certain way, then you're not a real fan. And it's not just a problem with the anime community, it's a problem with like any type of fandom, I think. Like if you're not doing something a certain way, you're not actually a fan, or you don't truly love what you're watching, or like even fangirling over. So I think it's definitely, that's why it's such a heated debate, because people are like calling out each other on like whether or not they truly love this thing that they're passionate about. And
it is what's
live and like what they like.
Oh yeah, for sure. And what's so funny is that being like a member of the anime community, and this is like the most opposite end of the spectrum example, but very similar in its gatekeeping, is just like sports. Because if you're a girl and you're like, oh, I like sports, like guys immediately want to quiz you on like,
no, you don't. Do you really?
Well, yeah, like, well, if you're a fan, then, you know, because like I'm from St. Louis, and so I'm a Cardinals fan, and so people are like, so you know, you're a girl and you watch sports, and it's like, what was Matt Carpenter's RBI last season? And it's like,
what?
I don't know. Like I don't, like there are some, like I don't have a statistic brain like that. Like I don't do draft. I don't do like any kind of like fantasy anything. And so I'm like,
I mean, it's the same with like film too. Like I tell someone I'm like a film nerd, a guy, and I'm sorry guys, but it's mostly guys who do the gatekeeping on this type of stuff. They're like, oh, did you see this film that was like all guys in it, directed by a guy, has all these guy themes, that was made in like 1920? I was like,
you got me.
Sorry, I haven't seen every movie in the world.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, did you see that obscure French art house that was released in 1947 on 40 millimeter film? Like, I was like, sir,
go in, Shell.
Yes,
fuck them up.
Don't get me started. I did a whole
don't get me started.
about representation in college in the film industry, and how women and people of color should get more opportunities. And then someone had the audacity to ask me, and it was about like awards and everything too. And someone had the audacity to ask me, so we should just give out like participation trophies and everything, right? That's what you're saying? And I was like,
bitch, First of all,
say your question again. I'm a little deaf in one eye.
No.
What was that?
And it was and I felt so betrayed. It was a woman too. And I was like, really, you're doing this to me?
Boo.
And I was just like, and it was like along the lines of they're not making the best content as good as other people. I'm like, and I said, if they were given more opportunities to make better content, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
I mean, Frozen was directed by a woman and broke box offices.
It's just a topic that I'm very passionate about. And
I would like to pitch in with Shelby's very passionate topic, and from mysterious source that you guys can't hear that we're hearing in our ears, there should be like, we should put a bonus podcast episode for getting a certain amount of subscribers called like Don't Get Me Started, and it's about everybody's like main thing that they're really fucking like.
Oh my god, that would be fun.
Yeah, I thought about for the first question to like set a timer and give everyone like 5 minutes of just uninterrupted, like I'm just gonna talk about like why this is important to me, but that would be a good idea for a bonus.
Yeah, I have a topic like that.
Yeah, I think everybody does that. It's just like if someone like just peels the Band-Aid off, it's just like blah, like I will verbally assault you.
Look,
but
if you want to hear about that,
you want to hear some yelling. There was a time in my life when all of my social media handles were either salty Asian or angry Asian, and there's a reason why. So
you gotta go to my Instagram for that. If you want all the saltiness,
I try and suppress that Ice Queen demon inside of me who just has a lot of anger in her heart, but
well, you need to express that.
Yeah, sometimes, as evidenced by me getting really angry about Code Geass, it happens at strange times. But anyway, I think that's all we got for you guys this week. This was a big chaos energy podcast, and I really liked it. But like,
I was actually, besides from like Annie and Shelby, I was low key this one. I was like, wow, I don't have to get hyped this one. Mana and Danny, they already, I was just.
When I found that Haikyu dub, I knew I was just going to be off for the whole episode because, okay, we talked about it. It's fine. Anyway, Annie, would you like to introduce what our next week's topic is going to be?
Sure. So next week is going to be our Q&A number 2. So if you have any questions for us, either leave them down in the comments or comment on one of our videos or send it to our social media, and we will try and pick out some fun questions for all of us to answer, and you guys will get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah, whether it's life advice or random factoids about us, just send them our way. It makes us feel famous answering questions. But yeah, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all of those things, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.